Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, March 10th. Did you set the clocks ahead? It's time to go on the record. She is the interim superintendent, but right now, Laura Perrill's full-time job is improving Boston schools. The steps she's taking already.
81 people or organizations got letters. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our country.
Battle lines drawn, but how long will the fight between House Democrats and the White House be drawn out? And partisan divide. Is Suffolk County really the most politically intolerant county in the nation? Let's go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to On the Record. It is Sunday, March 10th. It is the day you should move the clocks ahead. It's the spring day, spring ahead, right? We're getting close to the start of spring. It itself, the season, is about 10 days away. News Center 5's political reporter Janet Wu was off this week. I'm Ed Harding, and I'm joined this morning by the interim superintendent of the Boston Public Schools, Laura Perrill. She's a Boston resident. 2 children were educated in the Boston school system, correct?
Yes.
The BPS system, the public system. Former president and CEO of EdVestors, which is a nonprofit group dedicated to improving Boston schools. She's a graduate of Brown University. And let me just show you. Do you have a shot of this? Show the wide shot here. She shows up with papers already, a pen. You're ready to take notes. You've got your information. If I'm not in a classroom, I don't know what a classroom looks like, right?
Well, you know, we all need to be lifelong learners, so I came prepared this morning.
Well, obviously, being in charge of the largest school system in the state, in New England, that's a Herculean task. No?
Well, it's an enormous responsibility and privilege to work with so many educators and school leaders on behalf of children and families of Boston.
So let's pick up from there. It was last June the superintendent, Tommy Chang, resigned after 3 years at the head of the Boston schools. Just a few weeks later, the school committee appointed you as the interim superintendent. At first, you were thought to be a candidate for the permanent job. Let's start right there. You said you don't want to be a candidate for the permanent job?
No, I am honored and privileged to serve as interim. I'm a passionate advocate for improvement in the Boston Public Schools, and I felt that it was most important that it be clear that I'm solely focused on the job I was asked to do, which is keep the system moving forward during this transition period, and thus the distractions of the search should really be kept separate from that.
But you know, some might say, why? Why wouldn't you not only want to keep it on the rails, but keep driving it down the rails? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I wanted to make sure that it was clear that my sole focus was on doing the work in front of the system right now, and if I can help the system move forward, work and build the team that can keep making good things happen during this interim period, make some tough decisions that need to happen, solve some problems, and set things up better for the next leader.
Okay, you talk about the next one. Where do we stand for the next superintendent? Where are things standing now?
Well, it's the school committee and the search committee that leads the search process, so I'm actually really not involved in that, and appropriately so. But as you know, I and others know from recent reports, the search committee is making good progress. You know, Boston is a very attractive district. We have important work here to do. And it's an important conversation about the future of the city schools.
So why isn't there someone in place? Well, you're in place, I understand that, but why isn't a permanent person in place? Why does it take so long? Because it would be, as I said, it's the largest in the state, it's the largest in New England. There are a lot of very important things to decide here. I think that would be an attractive position for.
It is, and the search committee selection process is underway, but these things always take at least a year and sometimes longer. So the most important thing is that the city of Boston gets the leader it wants and needs for where the system is now. And as the school committee knows, if that takes a little bit longer than a year to get the right person, you know, I've said both to the school committee and the mayor that I'm available to serve for as long as needed. So hopefully it'll move quickly. And they'll make more progress.
So let's talk about the lifeblood of schools, and that's money. The Boston School Committee taking some heat right now over a proposed budget. Parents and teachers say if it's passed, it would be triggering harmful cuts. What is your opinion on that? What's your read on that?
So this is always a very important annual conversation about the budget based on the resources that we have available. And while there are given that Boston's budget system is based on enrollment, there are always shifts and changes in individual schools that we work as hard as possible to buffer and mitigate. But it is true that there are shifts and changes each year in budgets. There are also schools whose budgets are advancing based on enrollment. And then there are important ongoing commitments that the city makes and important new investments rolling forward. So budget is always a conversation, and it's really two conversations. One is how do we spend the resources we have now?
Right.
And how do we ensure that the state is also paying its fair share to support the needs of our students?
So let's talk about the big news this week about the access to the city's exam schools, for example, like Boston Latin. And let's just be clear. I mean, let's establish what we're talking about here. Is this about exam school test, or is this about something else?
This is really about access to the, and the city's commitment, and really a broad...
Access to the school?
Access to the 3 exam schools.
Right.
So Boston has Boston Latin Academy, Boston Latin School, and the John D. O'Brien School of Math and Science. So 3 of our high schools that have selective entrance exams. They are an important resource for all children in the city of Boston, both those coming through the Boston Public Schools and elsewhere. But historically, we have historically marginalized populations who are not well represented in the exam schools, in particular our Black and Latinx students. And so it has been a commitment of the Boston Public Schools to continue to increase access
So how
to
do we
those.
do that?
So there's a couple of different ways we're doing that. The big announcement this year is that historically the test is taken on a Saturday in November,
Sure.
and kids have to get their way there.
Right.
And that can be a challenge for lots of kids.
Right.
So coming this fall, November 2019, we will be providing the entrance exam to the exam schools in every 6th grade, every school that has a 6th grade across the Boston Public Schools. So it'll make it much easier for more students who might not have imagined that they should even try to try. That's a way of increasing exam school access. For the past 2 years, we've been expanding an initiative that also provides test prep support, transportation, and pre-registration to more of Boston Public School students. That also increases access. And we have slowly but steadily been increasing access, in particular for our Black and Latinx students.
Which I want to, very important all stuff, but I want to get on to a couple other topics before we
Yeah.
get the break. Boston public students are graduating within 4 years. However, recent data shows that nearly half of those students who enter college do not graduate within 6 years. There's a disconnect here. Why is there a disconnect?
So there is important work that we need to do in our high schools. Just last week, the state announced graduation rates for all the districts, and the city of Boston continues to advance its graduation rate. It's now at 75%, the highest it's ever been. But it is clear that there is more work to do in building the rigor of that experience so that students are more successful in their post-secondary pathways. So last Friday, and the Boston Public Schools is one of the most studied and recommended and analyzed districts.
Sure.
We have lots of important data. We welcome that scrutiny, but we also, there's also a point where we have to say, okay, let's take these recommendations, take what we know needs to happen, those of us who run schools, and figure out how to make this real and implement it. So that's the work we need to do.
So that's the work you need to do. But perhaps if you're saying no to the fact that Boston Public Schools are just passing people through. So once they get to college, that they're not prepared. I'm not asking the question the right way.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think we do recognize that Boston needs to continue to build its rigor and preparation for students during high school, even while we're increasing the graduation rate, so that the students who graduate are ready when they get to their post-secondary pathway. So on Friday, we announced 6 new work groups that are going to buckle down on some of those key issues that we think will drive rigor and opportunity in our high schools.
What do you think about Michael Flaherty's proposal of a Year 13 initiative, an extra year after graduation to prepare students for college? What do you think of that?
Well, we're looking forward to learning more in the hearing that Council Flaherty has called. And I think, so we're still learning ourselves, and based on the ideas that he puts forward, we'll be absolutely happy to take a look at it. Boston has a number of alternative education programs already that work with students who are in the system. This would be another model to look at and make sure we understand the implications. But the idea that we have to continually be creative about making sure we have a broad range of options for all of our students, that's a conversation worth having.
All right, now we're in the conversation for the OTR Pop Quiz.
Uh-oh, here it goes.
See, well, you can't have a school person on and not ask a quiz. I mean, come on now.
And you wonder why I brought my pen and paper.
There you go. Well, there you go. You figured it out. All right, here's the quiz, and this is something for something that everyone in education knows and loves. Schools in pop culture is our theme this morning. From 2000 to 2004, a TV drama series set right here in Boston aired on the Fox network. We'll give you a multiple choice here. What was it called? Was it Winslow High? Was it Degrassi High? Or was it Boston Public?
Even without the multiple choice, Boston Public.
Boston Public. By the way, the name of the high school was Winslow High, but the name of the show was Boston Public. Question 2. From public schools, we moved to private schools. Dead Poets Society featured an Oscar-nominated performance by Robin Williams as an English teacher. The name of his character was a nod to a romantic poet, and was it John Keating, William Blakely, Percy Shellingham?
I love the movie. I'm going to go with A.
You got it, John Keating. John Keats is the British poet with a similar name. We're back with more on the OTR Park. You didn't even touch your pen or your notes.
I'm getting lucky here.
That's brilliant. We'll be right back.